What's up, everyone? Welcome to the official first ever rDNA podcast. What's the R stand for? Real, because we keep it real, as in REEL, because we're talking films this week, and we have special guests with us on the left there making that most interesting face. You may know him as iRob version 4 from NAW, but I know him from the Sprite incident in 6th grade. It's true.
It is true. I decided you didn't need your Sprite anymore. That's what happened.
You decided with authority that I didn't need my Sprite anymore. And then I proceeded to attempt to, what did I do, strangle you or something?
I don't remember. I think that they were angry at each other for about 0.5 seconds and then laughed on the way to the office, if I remember correctly.
And this was our kind of first encounter. Like, we knew each other existed, but this was the moment we decided we should hang out, was just getting into fisticuffs. But next to that individual, we have the most unique personality to ever grace the NAW stage. He is known as Wicked.
NOW, baby. Woo!
For life. Also known as Justin. I also go many, many, many years back with this individual. He was a huge support for the band iRob. That is a loud host. Batman making their presence known. Thanks for the host. So we have, again, Justin here. He's been a huge support of, my many ventures, iRob's ventures. He was a huge supporter when we had band practice in my father's basement.
And I don't know, we were bad then.
Have we ever been good at anything?
Well, towards the end, I think we were pretty good, but
we are right.
The beginning, it was fun, but I don't think we were good.
Well, you got to start somewhere, just like we're starting somewhere here with this rDNA podcast, where we keep it real. That's going to go on a t-shirt one day. We keep it real. REEL. You get it? Do you guys get it? We're going to force feed that. It's going to be a thing. I promise. But the reason we're here, we are gamers. We are nerds. We are movie fans. We just like things. And one of the things that we wanted to kind of talk about was tying video games and movies together. And then we realized that was a thing that existed. Did you know they made video game movies or movies out of video games?
Just one.
Just one. So I felt the timing was more perfect.
Okay. Oh, come on.
We have another host from time. Thank you for the host. So we felt that this first episode, with the timing of the new Mortal Kombat film, that this couldn't be more appropriate. And did you guys know it's been 26 years? 26 years.
Yeah, if you want to do the math, I was 10 when it came out, so there you go.
God, you old, man.
Me too.
Same with Wicked. We're all in that old man group. Flips to monitor only. Let me do that quick before we have weird echoes all night long. Just give me a moment. You guys want to talk about anything while I'm flipping these alerts?
My one Sprite story that's probably the closest to you guys was at a pep rally. We were running back and forth drinking 2 liters. And I got the juggalo away in me and sprayed it all over the crowd and got in trouble from football and all that fun stuff. That was great. So that's the
I didn't know you got in trouble for that. I remember that. I didn't know you got in trouble for that.
Oh, yes. Loss of football games and out of school for a few days.
Yeah, we almost got out of school, but it was like literally the last day of the school year. So they just made us, they told us to go to the office.
Our punishment was we didn't get to walk to the ice cream store, or or something like that.
Yeah, because they did like half the class got to go, and then the other half was another day. And we were supposed to watch some stupid movie or something. So we missed out. I don't even know what we did. I don't even think we showed up for school at all. I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
I think we went, like, they gave us nothing to do. We just had to go, instead of walking, we went and sat in the in-house suspension room.
That could be. Yeah, I spent many days there though, through my time at school. I was not a good kid. Could you imagine that? But anyways,
The
thanks.
ultimate bro story. Like, we have that.
It's true. These are facts. These are facts. But I want to thank everyone for tuning in. If you're listening on podcast platforms, thanks for checking us out. This is the rDNA podcast on the Dose of Nerd Acumen podcast pages, depending on where you're at, Google, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, and so many more. Thank you for listening back. Or if you're watching us on YouTube playing it back, thank you for that. If you ever want to join the live chat, join us on twitch.tv/Dose of Nerd Acumen and check us out on many social media pages. All you got to do is search for Dose of Nerd Acumen. But without further ado, our main attraction here this evening is indeed the film from 1995 known as... Can somebody do it? Who's wanting to do it?
Mortal Kombat!
There you go. Got both of us.
That was amazing. I could tell you guys were in choir and not band.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
And that's right. Get over here. If you're not listening to us, get over here and listen. So here's just a basic plot summary that I looked it up, and this is a quote. 3 unknowing martial artists are summoned to a mysterious island to compete in a tournament whose outcome will decide the fate of the world. Now, if you were just told that simply, would this be a thing that intrigues you?
Yes.
He says yes. We got one yes. We got 2 yeses. I mean, that's the most vague description of anything ever. And, like, does it fit the story? What is the story of Mortal Kombat?
I love it, but my take on the story is someone watched Mortal Kombat and said, we should make a movie. That's about it. Like,
well, I mean, yeah, cash grab. We're talking 95, right? Mortal Kombat had been blowing up the arcade cabinet and then home console scene for a couple of years at this time. I want to say the games came out, 92, 93? And then they had sequels from there almost every year. J-Ram says they love martial arts movies. Netcutter says it sounds strangely familiar. Let's talk about the release date. August 18th, 1995. All 3 of us actually were 10 years old. Locke says, man, I might have suggested renting it based on that description, but I never would have tried to spend theater money on it. I'm pretty sure I did go see this in theaters. It was PG-13. Even though I wasn't 13, we got into those films anyways. The film itself...
Got like a suggestion back when we were 13.
It was very much a suggestion. 10 days before Batman's birthday. So it was directed by, back then known as Paul Anderson, now known as Paul W.S. Anderson, as there is also another director named Paul Anderson, so you don't want to confuse the two. This was...
Anybody know the other video game movies he did?
That's what I'm actually going to highlight here. This was his second directorial film. He would go on to direct and or produce some films I personally enjoy. I can't speak for you guys, but I'm assuming much the same to Rob, I know. I don't know about Wicked, but speak up if so. Event Horizon, Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Resident Evil Afterlife, Resident Evil Retribution, Resident Evil The Final Chapter, and other notable films include Alien vs. Predator, DOA, Dead or Alive, Death Race, Pompeii, Monster Hunter, plus many more.
I'd probably drop the DOA Dead or Alive off his credits. Just saying.
Yeah, that was pretty much a disaster. I see Event Horizon in chat. Somebody else excited about that. I absolutely love that movie.
That is, I always tell everybody that is if we ever want to do that one, I'll be back for that. That's one of my, I think, most underrated horror movies. Like, I love that movie.
It's so good. So good. I think we should, because honestly, like, it's not a video game adaptation, but if you've ever played Dead Space, those two could be, loosely based off each other. The Mortal Kombat film had an $18 million budget, which not high, but not low either. So it was a major, blockbuster attempt. It capitalized and it actually made $122.2 million at the box office. I think a lot of it had to do with the amazing soundtrack. It holds a 47% Rotten Tomatoes and a 58 out of 100 Metacritic. So higher than I thought. It starred Robin Shou, Lyndon Ashby, I'm going to try here. I'm going to butcher it. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa, Bridget Wilson, Delisa Soto, and Christopher Lambert. It is a loose adaptation of the early entries in the fighting games. Say what?
Doesn't she go by Brigitte Wilson?
Is it Brigitte? Is that how you pronounce it? I mean, maybe.
I don't know. I remember seeing it that way or hearing it that way before.
So Liu Kang, the actor, Johnny Cage, and the soldier Sonya Blade, all three guided by the god Raiden, or Raiden in the movie, on their journey to combat the evil sorcerer Shang Tsung and his forces in a tournament to save Earth. It was filmed primarily in Los Angeles as well as on location in Thailand, and again it was rated PG-13. One little quick fun fact before we dive into our thoughts. Cameron Diaz was originally cast as Sonya Blade but dropped out due to a wrist injury and then was replaced by Wilson.
I think that would have been horrible. Just my take on that.
I mean, do you think it would have drastically changed things?
Not the movie itself, but trying to buy her as someone that could actually be tough. I don't know.
But was Cameron Diaz even established at this point yet? We're talking 1995.
That was Mask era.
It was, yeah. Mask came out around, 95, 96? Or even 94?
Yeah.
So, yeah, she was starting to get well known.
Yeah. And talking about characters that were cast, someone might know that There Can Be Only One as from Raiden. That was Christopher Lambert from Highlander fame.
You know, he didn't play the character all too terribly. I think he took the role a little bit more serious than some of the other actors.
And I don't know if we don't want to bring it up, but I wish they would have been able to bring him back for the second Mortal Kombat movie because it was one of the downfall of that one.
Now, who all was recast for Annihilation? I know we're not reviewing that, but just out of curiosity.
I think it was just Robin Shue.
I don't think Sonya Blade stayed, though.
Nope, she was a different one.
Yeah.
Johnny Cage stayed in
I don't know if Johnny Cage was because he's only in it for 5 minutes, so I don't remember at this point.
Spoilers.
So chat says, let's see, Mortal Kombat is the reason why Fear Factory became your favorite. Typo negative as well. The guy who plays Shang Tsung is at a con, and I'm in. They're going to see them in November. There's a YouTube video of the movie Liu and Johnny playing the first MK game together 25 years after. Preferred his Raiden than the second one. And ironically, Robin Shue went in to play Jen in Street Fighter Chun-Li, which, man, we should really review that one because, oof. The alien villain from X-Files is Khan in the second movie. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to pull up when the movie does come in, the awesome mullet that Robin Shue sports in this movie.
Oh, man.
It is so good.
He's like Jackie Chan in the front, mullet in the back.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, let's break down the movie, right? Like, what did we love? What did we hate? Let's talk about some of the plot devices. Like, what are your memories? What was your experience? Like, what got you hype or what did you hate on this film?
Well, with that synopsis, it said that Raiden guided these three. But if you watch the movie from front to the fights, it's mostly Shang Tsung, like Loki, becoming the Johnny Cage's old manager or whatever, giving them the list and pretty much using Kano to bring Sonya into the boat and everything like that. He's pretty much Loki luring everybody in, so he's pretty much the one guiding everybody to where we need to be over Raiden.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a weird plot device to bring everyone together like that. Just the concept of the tournament being so unknown, but yet it happens every generation. If you were a martial artist, I feel like you would have some sort of idea that this thing exists. I mean, it's not like Fight Club. I mean, it is its own Fight Club per se, but like, I just feel it was weird on how he uses powers to manipulate people that way. What's up, Lana?
I had the random throwing in the Art Lang character that's supposed to be their number 4 and their cool best friend. just so you can have a character that gets killed by Goro.
Yeah. The one thing I do like, the movie kicks off with high energy. The soundtrack immediately just jumps in. And I mean, that's one soundtrack you'll never, ever forget. And then the character introductions I thought were very clever. It established uniqueness and it gave a general, vague backstory to each of them. Like the fight sequence, for example, with Johnny Cage on the movie set. And just the dismantling of, you're like, oh, another fight scene. It's happening. Everyone's just fighting everywhere. But then he's just a fighting actor, but he's getting no respect.
This is where you fall down.
Yes. And the one-liners in this movie, so full of them.
Good. So good.
And the way they introduced, Sonya and Jax hunting down Kano, the nightclub scene, it's very 90s. Very, very 90s. Lana says Atticus isn't going to forget it either. He's been singing the Mortal Kombat song all day.
I'd call that a win.
Just
going to throw that out there.
It is.
The shooting the guns in the club part, though, I was like, everyone just kept dancing. There's no guns being shot in here.
Yeah, that was weird.
The part that I got was that there's someone with a shotgun going through and hitting every single person she possibly can on her way to get. But again, 90s, like trying to show her off as being the BA in the situation.
Yeah, I mean, it had general tropes to a lot of characters. I would have liked a little bit more with Liu Kang. I felt his story was, even though he was kind of the centerpiece to it all, I just felt like they should have done more with his character. Like, his introduction was fine. He wants to avenge his brother. But, like, again, it's just pieced together weird on why they go to this island and what he knows and what he's seen from what happened with his brother in that vision. And then his whole backstory of, not staying with, I'm assuming I'm calling them monks. Is that incorrect? Or
They were of the Temple of Light.
Right. Which Raiden was, or Raiden, however you want to pronounce it, depending on the film or the actual pronunciation, was their god, and then he didn't even know. He had no understanding or comprehension that, and the disrespect he had towards him. And then he's all of a sudden just like, yeah, you are, a god. Okay.
And the little spoilers later, they bring up that he's the descendant of Kung Lao, which, if you don't know the backstory for Mortal Kombat, it's just like a random thing that's thrown in there that you would have no idea why it's important. They don't reference it at all other than them saying he is.
No, and that's part of the problem too. Even the games, like, unless you read some of the text, if you get far enough or if you even beat the game, you're not getting the backstories on any of these characters. So, like, and especially in the 90s, you weren't hopping on AOL yet, to figure things out. Like, it was word of mouth, and you know how telephone works. Stuff gets misinterpreted. Chat here says, I want to catch up with him. Katana was the same in the second. The best part of part 2 is no more Johnny Cage. Supposedly he's not going to be in the new movie either that's coming out. Nakata hated Kano in the game, but the first actor was the shit. Agree about Kano. The actor was poor. Getty driving Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter back to back. That would be fun. Did anyone notice Sub-Zero and Scorpion get killed and come back in the second movie? Yeah, but I think there's a story or a reason to that as well. There you go. Sub-Zero's brother comes in number 2. So there you go. Because I think
that was from the games. Because at one point, the Sub-Zero they have in the second one is geared more like how he was in one of the later games.
Right. He didn't wear the mask. He was scarred. He kind of looked like Glacier from WCW. Every 90s movie had a dance scene or a club scene. It was a rule. That is a fact. The beach they arrive in is now a cruise ship stop in Haiti. Oh, I've been to Haiti. I wonder if we went there because that's super cool. Send me information on that, Nutcut. I'm curious to look that up. Do I mean Glacier look like him? I suppose you're right, yes. Glacier look like him. But in all honesty, $18 million budget, the character designs were pretty close to being spot on. We have to give credit where credit is due. Call it a cheesy movie, it's much better than the Mario Brothers movie as far as accuracy or resemblance of a character they're portraying.
Well, you got to remember the first game only had, the 8 squares at the beginning, and you really had not much to go off of from a 2D screen of someone just kicking their leg up. moving their arm or anything like that. So
Yeah, I mean, not a lot of depth from that first game. The cool thing about the first game, though, too, they're I forget. Locke will probably know this. He knows random trivia, but the way they captured, they did like photorealistic capture for their sprites, so it was pretty cutting edge for Midway at the time.
Yeah, it wasn't computer generated; it was actual video.
Yeah, it was scans, and like they did an incredible job, for the time. I've been fortunate enough. I picked up a cabinet from Arcade 1-Up recently. It has the first 3 games on there, and we've been having a blast with that. MX says there's a spam link on the new YouTube video. Might want to take care of that. Well, thank you. We get spammed a lot, unfortunately. It's the internet. Locke's got it. Thank you, Locke. So, I mean, character design alone, fantastic work. Special effects. Let's talk about some of those special effects. The good, the bad, and the ugly.
They're very 90s.
Very 90s.
Yes.
Very 90s.
I remember back in the day, I thought they were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them hold up, though.
I mean, you can watch it now, and like if you go to the Goro, because it was a practical thing, it still looks like there's a giant guy with 4 arms.
Yeah.
Because it was people in a suit with a giant thing with 4 arms. So, I mean...
Jay Ram says, looking back, the thing doesn't hold up as the special effects, especially Reptile and Goro, but it was the 90s. Looking forward to seeing the updated effects. Yeah, I mean, Reptile is probably the worst special effect. No, Wicked. I mean, let us know. What do you?
No, that was horrible. That Reptile. Oh man, the way they portrayed that.
The Reptile, and my thing on it was, and I know Trav, he was one of your favorites from the games, but how they made him like the strongest ninja. The other 2 got beat in like 5 minutes, and his fight with Liu Kang went way longer.
MXG, sorry about the loud asterisk.
But it wasn't even him. He just got thrown into a body.
Reptile wins.
And then Liu Kang fights him, and he gets shot in the face with the acid, and then like a scene later, Liu Kang's like fine, just walking through.
Yeah. I read some stuff too. The scene where he sneaks up and grabs Reptile when he was still in his like reptilian form. They had no clue what the CG was going to look like. Much like a lot of stuff back then, they don't have anything they can impose on there to give like a rough draft. They just kind of went in and did it. So,
hey Robin, pretend like you're grabbing something.
And that was basically it. I'm assuming that's how they got it. And they pieced it together fine. It's just the visual effect didn't hold up. Nat Cuttis has been playing a lot of Injustice 2, and they recently found a fun MK Easter egg in the movie theater level. Hit the theater marquee enough, and the 2 movie title name letters spell finish him. That's cool. And if you haven't played Injustice or Injustice 2, I highly recommend it. Great fighting games. No Mortal Kombat fighting level, but they're great nonetheless.
Well, they could have definitely blended Reptile in a little bit better than they did, because I mean, it turned out him being just like a bright Rastafarian greenish. It was really kind of out of place when they did it. When they brought him in.
Oh, it definitely stands out. At least Goro, like Rob mentioned, the practical stuff tend to age a little better. Because the first thing in films are special effects. That's what ages first in films, right? Practical holds up better. It's why Jurassic Park still looks fantastic. And it's why Reptile looks like trash. Not that I'm trying to compare Jurassic Park and Mortal Kombat here, but you know.
Yeah, I had that one, and then did take a couple notes here, like the scene after they teleport and the Johnny Cage Scorpion fight. That just the dungeon scene is just cool. Like the visual in that is so cool. So I'd like that one. How they had that set up with the scaffolding and stuff.
I second that. That was definitely my book of best.
I was sitting here with Atticus when I was rewatching it today, and he came in during that scene, and he heard the get over here and then get down here, and then he saw the mask come off in the skull, and he's like, "Oh, it's like Red Skull." I'm like, "Oh, I'm so proud right now." So And then he saw it, do the thing, and he was like, whoa. I'm like, I don't know if you should be watching this, but don't tell Mom.
You're like, but we did. You know what?
Everybody knows now, Trav. The don't tell Mom didn't work.
No, I know. I already told her. So.
And then to kind of second what I said with they did all that cool stuff for Scorpion, and they go to Sub-Zero, and he gets killed by a bucket of water thrown at him.
I mean, use the element, it's logic, right? At least there was logic to the approach. It was weird that he's just sitting here charging up this ice ball, watching a guy get ready to throw a bucket of water at him, not knowing. That's weird, but
he wasn't the smartest or the quickest of the two brothers.
No.
But that was one of my not complaints, but kind of they made him up where these two guys are so great, and then in his fight with Liu Kang, he basically gets beat up and then gets a bucket of water thrown at him and he's dead. It's.
But here's the thing: in a tournament, everybody's got to lose, right? There can only really be one winner. But instead, we have teams of people that survive, which, in all reality, Sonya Blade is fighting Johnny Cage. All these people are fighting each other. This is not how a tournament works in the game. There are no friends. So the fact we have these good people and then bad people, it's just weird how they explain that too. That's not a true tournament then. Because where did Liu Kang? Who all did he fight in the film? He beat
some no-name guy with dreadlocks and a stick.
Which was a cool fight.
It
was short, but it was cool. It was the first, your soul is mine, moment of the thing.
Yeah.
Which, that was cool.
They did good bringing all those in, too. Bringing all the phrases and everything in.
Say that again?
And then he did
They did really good bringing all the phrases in and things like that.
Oh, they had to, though. People were expecting that.
Yeah.
And then the next one, didn't Liu Kang just fight Kitana?
Yeah, they had an exchange, and then Shang Tsung just was I forgot what he said, but he was disappointed. You're murdering and taking souls of everybody else, but because why? The inconsistency, it was so confusing. And then he just advances, and then who did he fight after that?
That one was a Sub-Zero fight.
Yeah, and that kind of says that's enough, because they were just talking strategy. That's how it ended.
And then his last one was Shang Tsung.
Yeah, and then he immediately goes to the boss. That's not how games work. This is so confusing. He didn't have to fight his friends. He didn't have to do the mirror battle and fight himself. You should have had it where Shang Tsung summoned his brother back from the dead and he had to fight him. If you want to get dark and, menacing as a villain, do that.
And he just kind of changed into him, was like, you killed me. That was about it.
Locke says Liu Kang had cheat codes.
Cheat codes.
With Goro, too, all of a sudden, the middle of everything, Shang Tsung's all right, these humans have won enough. So Goro hasn't even fought through half of the movie, and then all of a sudden he's feeding everybody that's fought 1, 2, or 3 matches to Goro. So they're all tired, and Goro's just beating them in the face.
Yeah, one by one he's defeating the grunts.
Yeah, the people that you don't know, just random guys getting thrown around into some rocks for a little montage.
That scene reminded me of the montage of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, where they let the babies, if you will, go out and destroy the city. So it just kind of reminded me all right, go have some fun. He basically said that to Goro. Go level up and destroy 20 grunts here. In actuality, if he defeated 20 people, he would be at the top of the tower then fighting Shang Tsung himself, right? Mm-hmm. How does he get to beat 20 people, but then Liu Kang only has to fight 3? And he doesn't even beat one of them.
I think if that's just one of the things they had to kind of make it where it's more movie than video game for that one. Where it's.
I guess. I'm not hating on it.
How about the splits? Oh, that hurt. He hurt his hand punching Goro in the nuts.
Yeah. And then how Shang Tsung was just so annoyed that somebody getting hit in the balls is actually hurt. Why wouldn't you have empathy for that man? He just got sucker punched in the balls.
He calls him an imbecile.
Yeah.
Oh, you imbecile.
Yeah, Nick
Those were
says,
$500 glasses, asshole.
They were. The 90s death metal during the random body. Yeah. I mean, that soundtrack, though, so good. I'll say that again and again throughout this review. So good. And I think that's half the reason people still hold on to this film is that soundtrack. And it's why they're still using sound samples from that soundtrack in the new soundtrack, 26 years later.
Oh, I don't remember the name of, but the techno group that literally their take on Mortal Kombat, where they had all the sound bites from the game and the techno. Oh, it was so good.
Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Mortal Kombat. Like, it's so good. To be honest, you didn't know if you ever saw Mortal Kombat? Oh, do yourself a favor. If you have HBO Max, it's on there. I think at least Annihilation is. First one might be also, but like, find a copy. Like, I have a copy here. I bought it at a pawn shop.
It might be on just YouTube.
I mean, that's where I'm watching it behind us here, by the way. Don't flag us, but it's literally on behind us. If you can see through. Wicked, not behind you. He's looking at his wall. No, it's in the background. I got this for like $5, and like, if this image doesn't sell you on the movie, you're just doing things wrong with life. So.
Oh, and just one of my other notes here, since we got to the final fight. When did they have time to put Sonya in like a new feathered hair and a dress?
Yeah, good question. Because the only one that came with bags, I believe, was Johnny Cage.
And he lost all those down the stairs.
He did.
They left, and the heroes left right away and went there. Like, it wasn't they took days to get there. It was
literally one day of the tournament. Like, they got there, spent the night, and then it was the next day, and then it was all done. And yes, chat is talking about watching the first one and not the second one. Watch the first one first. There is some sort of continuity with story, but just for quality, watch the first one. Don't start with Annihilation and then go backwards.
Don't start with it.
Because
I love both of them, but it's just because it's a Mortal Kombat movie. It's not a good movie. I like it because it's a Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes.
And we got to see it when it came out, so it was like, to us, it was like, oh man, this is the best thing ever.
And that's just it too. Like, if you were to time travel and like, it was amazing. Any 10-year-old, like, you were playing these games, you were hyped about a movie that got made that looked close to what, or if not better than what you were playing in a game. We hadn't had something like that done well yet. As I mentioned, the Mario Brothers movie.
Street Fighter?
Street Fighter was around this time. Somebody fact check that. I want to say that was 1996. Locke, do a fact check on that if you can, because Locke likes to fact check me.
Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile, who's supposed to be the Ultimate American. I know him off a different movie, but still, it's
It was either 96 or 94 now that I think of it. I'm questioning things. 94, okay.
So I had something that came up to me that came up as like a sick obsession of what was going on in the movie. Because we all know Sonya, and us as our age, and maybe everyone else will go back and watch some of these movies as well, like with Veronica Vaughn. And Sonya Blade is Veronica Vaughn from Billy Madison.
Oh,
yes.
That's incredible. I never put that together.
Shang Tsung and Kano have a huge, sick obsession with Sonya Blade. Like, both of them, like, really wants Shang Tsung wants Sonya Blade to be at the tournament, really hardcore, and Kano is just all up into her and all the comments he made. And then Johnny Cage later on in the movie, like, I'm just trying to save you, I want to help you, I don't want you to die, and all this stuff. And it's like, man, that Veronica Vaughn is one fine piece of...
Did you miss me, baby? Like, his one-liners were great. Like, he was a fun character. I'm curious on how will they portray the new Kano from the trailers. I'm kind of mixed because, like, it's always incredible too because he was never my favorite character, but yet he's like a standout for so many people.
I liked him in the original because he had the easiest fatality to do.
Yeah.
So that kind of made him where I liked him because it was easy.
I mean, that makes sense. What do we think of MK Legacy? It was online release. You can find it Blu-ray for $5. Honestly, I've seen it once. I don't know about Legacy, but $5. I mean, any Blu-ray is really worth $5. So, but that's just me as an obsessive hoarder and collector of films. So, Jay says Mortal Kombat actually reminds me of Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, a tournament on a remote island fighting 3 good guys, and Bruce Lee's sister was killed by one of the guys on the island. That's the same plot. That is the same plot as Mortal Kombat here in that description I read. Literally 3 people avenging somebody that was killed. A relative that was killed. That is the same plot. I was never into MK, so I never had a real reason to watch them, but now the new one looks really cool. Go back and watch the first one, too, before you watch the new one. I think it'll make you appreciate the new one. One last thing I want to really emphasize on special effects while we're still on that topic. The sequence when they first encounter them in the lower decks of the boat with the gun being pulled on Sub-Zero, that effect still looks great.
Yes. And the Raiden coming down right after that, I still would buy that. Like, that it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. And we're actually, this is happening right now behind us if you're watching. It's one of the things.
Is that foreshadowing, Trav?
Yeah. So, MK Legacy, I did enjoy the storyline about Scorpion and Sub-Zero beef with each other. Rob, speaking about like things in the Mortal Kombat world, you for a period of time were obsessed with one particular title in the Mortal Kombat franchise. Do you remember? You don't remember?
Not off the top of my head.
It was on, I think, PlayStation or PlayStation 2. I think it was the Sub-Zero game. You had to like go through the overworld and like fight people.
Oh, they had the conquest mode for a couple of them. I actually really liked those.
Yeah. Because you were obsessed with that for a long time. I don't remember which one that is.
There was 2 or 3 of them. I know there was Deception had it. What other one? It's been. I'm old now. I don't remember.
I mean, that'll happen. Fair enough.
I recommend.
But yeah, the conquest mode. I was big into that. It was kind of something different than just lining up next to each other and fighting. Like you could actually go and explore Outworld and things like that.
Yeah, I just remember every time, like we would link up or something, you were finishing up on something in that. So for like a period of time, longer than like normal games. Thinking of Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero, maybe that might be the one. I just remember like you were playing that longer than your sports games or whatever else you were hooked on at the time, because you would jump around, much like I would to different games, but for some reason some of them just stuck longer. That was one of them.
Yeah, that was one. I'm trying to think. They still kind of do a little bit of it in the newer ones, but at least the last one I played.
Yeah. Mythologies was a side-scroller platformer starring Sub-Zero. Yeah, I don't know if that was it then. I don't know. It was a long time ago. So. We're probably talking 15 years ago for this. So here's that fight we were talking about earlier, too, if you're watching the video version. So the first Liu Kang fight. Like I said, the martial arts in this was impressive. Like, they clearly had a good choreographer putting together their fight sequences.
And the only thing is, like, for this one, it was a great fight. Not taking it, but they couldn't they have got another character from the game to be who they're fighting instead of just some random guy with dreads and a stick?
I mean, who would you place in there for him to defeat as his first person that he squashes, basically?
I don't have a good reason or another character, but I don't know. Just me complaining because I can.
Because, I mean, at this time, the second game was out, which added a slightly larger cast. Could you have had another throwaway character?
Well, from what they did in the second one, you have a bunch of
And that's the thing too, like this license, what I'm curious about, I didn't read anything on this, but what I'm curious about is if they had to protect certain characters, not to diminish or damage stock in such characters, especially for sequels that were coming out, because they want people to be excited about a cast or a roster of characters in a game. Otherwise, why get the new game if you don't care about half the roster? So I'm curious if they had to have this throwaway person, lose instead of having a prominent character lose right off the bat in the first battle.
That's true. Maybe they only had the rights to use the ones they did. I don't know.
And that could be too. Sure, there could have been one. Kano didn't last long. No, Kano lost in his first encounter. I mean, he was murdered. I mean, it is Mortal Kombat. The idea if you lose or you die and you lose.
With right before that, the gratuitous woman upside down in a tank top shot.
Yep.
Because I was 10 when it came out. I still remember that.
I mean, if it came out last week, you'd still remember that.
This is also true. That is.
So we have now behind us here, they're talking about what we said earlier to the introduction of the Kano fight with her. Trying to think of what other points beyond special effects. Let's see if we could have done things differently as far as the plot. What would we have done? Awkward silence.
Well, it's hard for me because get a movie, so it can't be just like straight tournament style like the game, because it's just not. For me, it wouldn't make as believable a movie. Like this one was the good guys, bad guys, saving somebody. It's easy movie writing, I guess.
Yeah.
And more of like climbing the tower. They show the tower at the beginning and all that, and you're fighting to get up there anyways. You might as well show like, why aren't we going upstairs and everything like that, and make it turn it into more of like a, hey, we're trying to get to something at the end, and maybe Shang Tsung's up there in the tower, or something to that effect instead.
I mean, the good thing is they did have at least a tower in the game. Thunder says more like Bloodsport, so more like a martial arts tournament itself. What's up, Kira? So and that's really like we already spoke on that. That's the biggest confusion and how structured or lack of structured tournament this actually was. And it feels like they were just making the rules up on the fly so Shang Tsung can just take over the world. And I mean, we kind of saw glimpses of that, him trying to cheat and make deals with Johnny Cage, towards the end of the film, and them randomly overcoming that plot device, and it's weird.
But then you have the most powerful Raiden on your side, and things are going very slowly and badly for you till the end.
Now, and while we were talking about special effects, it just reminded me of it. The Raiden, his lightning effects they give him in the movie are actually still pretty good. Like out of the end of his finger when he had it in his eyes, those actually still really good.
Now, did Kano not ever use his eye?
He doesn't in this at all.
Oh, what the heck?
It's just there.
Oh.
He just turns in the club and you can see the eye. That's about what you get.
Now, in the trailer for the new one, we've already seen that he actually uses it, so I'm assuming that was a big problem that people had, that he didn't use his actual thing. I'm trying to think too, because Jax only had a role in the beginning of the film. He never made it to the island.
Completely different actor from the second movie.
Yep.
Completely, doesn't look anything the same. Not even close.
They're like,
Now, why didn't Jax make it? I know he was at the docks.
He just didn't make it on the boat, was the story. Sonya was the only one that made it on the boat to get to the island. Yeah,
because she ran off ahead into the fog.
Yeah.
Behind everything, and was like, no, don't go. Come back, don't get on that ship.
Sonya! Just over and over,
Batman says he hadn't lost his arm yet, had he? I mean, he mentions it, though, doesn't he? He mentions something.
In the second one, they talk about it. This one, they don't say anything about his arms.
Okay. Yes, we're talking about the original from '95. J-Ram, I think they were trying to cram so many characters and storylines. It seemed the time they had wasn't long enough for it. Yeah. Here's the thing, too. The second movie, so Jax has the arms in the second movie. But
they're just like bionics over his arms in the second movie.
Yeah, but the film takes place immediately after this one. So, like, what happened? Was there any, 6 months later?
No, I think he got into a...
I know it's different. When they find him in the second movie, Sony goes to the research facility where he's getting them installed on his arms.
That's
to
right.
Get him to help.
That's where we had Sector introduced.
Yeah.
Okay. I know we're not reviewing the second one here. I'm just trying to piece together continuity of characters. So.
But somehow he lost 20 years between the first movie and the second movie from the actors they casted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were only 2 years apart? When did this one come out? 97, I think. What does this say in here? 97, yeah. So 2 years apart for the movies. Cyber Ninjas were the
supposed
best.
To be exactly after.
Kira says, I didn't know how Melina was shown in that. Yeah, I mean, her character portrayal is very different in Annihilation from what she's known as.
Yeah.
Annihilation was honestly a train wreck.
Baraka.
Oh God. Yeah, Sector and Cyrax. So, I mean, that'd be what I'd change as far as making it more a structured tournament, having more logic behind it. I just feel like tournaments were still a very popular thing. Like we were exiting the 80s of, a lot of martial arts stuff. 70s very prominent, obviously. We're exiting kind of like the Karate Kid era, ushering in the ninja, era, which is why Sub-Zero and Scorpion obviously were very popular. But I just feel like structured tournament would have helped this movie, but I don't know if it would have made more sense for this movie. They would have had to have changed so much to even make it work.
And these were kind of templates, weren't they? Because this and Street Fighter were pretty much the first video game fighting.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, those were the first ones. And I mean, the Street Fighter movie, a lot of people give it crap, but I mean, it had its positives too.
It's another one where I will admit, it's not a great movie, but I still love it. It's almost so bad I like it.
I mean, one of my favorite things that came out of that, I got to play Street Fighter, the movie, the game. So I'm playing a game that was inspired by the movie that it was inspired by the game. That messes with your head a little bit.
Random movie trivia knowledge. The actor that played M. Bison in the Street Fighter movie was actually on his deathbed when they were doing that movie.
Yeah, it was his last film.
He could do 1 or 2 takes of any scene and he'd have to go rest.
Yeah, that was his.
So it kind of puts a little different when you watch it, but
what's his name? Raul.
Yes, I don't remember his name.
Yeah, Raul Julia. Yeah.
Raul Julia.
Yeah, it was great. He was good for that. J Ram says that's why I like PS3 MK game, the cyborgs, and converting the clans, Sub-Zero Scorpion, into cyborgs. Kira says there wasn't really any tournament, to be fair, in the movie because no real fatalities. They lost, he got their soul, and they died. Story plot wise, didn't make much sense. No, and that's what we mentioned. Kano didn't use his eye thing. We got a tease at Scorpion's fatality, but then he blew up because he got a spear thrown at him. So I mean, cool.
He got his head chopped in half too.
Yeah, and they got sliced. We saw Sub-Zero, get impaled by a bucket of water that turned into ice, so he was killed by his own, thing. And he was kind of charging up his fatality thing. Netcutter says, we're all lucky we didn't get Roadhouse alumni Patrick Swayze as Johnny Cage. Oh, God. Best fight scene in the background right now is happening. If you're watching the video one, Cage vs. Scorpion. Says we were just speaking on that. Gomez Adams, yes, he did play Gomez.
The scene for that one is just great. It's a good fight, but just where it takes place is like one of the highlights of the movie.
Yes. And we talked about some characters, too, that are from the first game. A lot of this cast is inspired by the first game. Like, their portrayal is inspired by that. We've seen introduction, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Kitana, she was from the second game. I don't believe she was in the first game. I think the only female in the first game was Sonya, right?
If I remember right, yes.
I should know this.
I wouldn't quote me on it, but
I literally have the arcade cabinet sitting next to me. I should know this. Only playable one. So, yeah, there we go. And, I mean, technically, too, like, Kitana, she didn't really play much in this tournament other than helping Liu Kang out, as we're seeing it play out, behind us right now. So she didn't really... And, again, I can't press that enough. The fact that no one had to go far enough in the tournament to lose... Like, what happens? Like, half these people we brought to this island just go home. Like, so much for collecting souls. Like, what is the point of Shang Tsung's villainous thing? And, like, if you have Goro that just annihilates all the, grunts, why not just kill them all, collect your souls, and take over the world?
he had to win this tournament too, Trav.
But why?
The rules of the Elder Gods.
But why? I know I'm asking too much, I feel, from 1995's Mortal Kombat by Paul W.S. Anderson. I'm asking too much.
This was before he could, put his spin on stuff. He was still young.
I don't think he's ever put his spin on stuff. Let's be honest. I don't think, like, most critics are going to say that Anderson is a fantastic director. I think there's going to be, fans that like a certain type of stuff, much like ourselves, that are going to praise his work, because I don't think I'm in the majority when I say that I love the Resident Evil films.
I like all of them. I don't. You can diss on me if you want. I like all of them.
And that's the thing. I don't think we're in the majority there. We could be wrong. Batman says his wife is great. Agreed. So, like, but in all honesty, like, your second movie coming out the gate, this is not a bad approach to things. I want to run through the story on how it's described, and then we'll touch on things as we go here. So, again, kind of filling in more details on Mortal Kombat. It opened August 18th, 1995. It was number 1 at the box office for the weekend with $23.2 million, nearly 8 times the opening amount of the only other new release that weekend, which was The Babysitter's Club. At the time, it was the second highest August opening after 1993's The Fugitive. The film enjoyed a 3-week stint at number 1, grossing $73 million domestically in the United States. It also earned $51 million overseas, for a worldwide total of $124 million. The film so far sits at the 7th highest grossing video game film adaptation ever released in the U.S., behind Sonic the Hedgehog, which is incredible. I really want to do a review of that.
Still haven't seen it.
Hold up.
I'm fired too.
What?
Yes.
Oh my God. All right. I'm going to put a poll out. You guys, the viewers, listeners, we're going to put a poll out.
Emmy wants to come say hi real fast.
Okay. Hi. How come you haven't seen Sonic yet?
They want to know how come we haven't seen Sonic the Hedgehog yet. I don't even think she knows who that is. That's a fail on my part.
I don't know if we can have Rob on this podcast anymore. He might be one and done. Are you kidding me right now? You have not introduced... You are a huge fan of the Sega Genesis and Sonic 2.
This is true.
I have taught you nothing as a friend. Nothing. I am ashamed right now. Kira says Sonic was good. Props to them. Listening to the community changed it out of nightmare fuel. Like, really, who looked at Sonic was like, let's give him teeth and make him look human. Yeah, that was a bad idea. J. Rem says, I would love a Resident Evil film like number 4 or 7 Biohazard. That would be great. Locke's revoking Discord permissions, so you guys are getting kicked off. Well, not you guys. Wicked, you're fine. iRob is officially fired, though. Man, I am just... All right. That will be a future review. You both got to watch Sonic. You have to. I'm sorry.
Homework.
It is homework. I am assigning homework, and you will be pleased. Hopefully. If you're not, let's talk about it.
It looks good. It's on the list of things I want to see. It just hasn't happened.
It was my favorite film last year. Hands down. Favorite film last year. All right. The other movies that it's behind is Detective Pikachu. Have you seen that? You should. It's good. It's not as pressing as Sonic, but you should. Lara Croft Tomb Raider. Or Lara, if you want to pronounce it correctly, I guess. The Angry Birds movie. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. And Pokemon, the first movie. You know, Locke, I am going to step up my screening process. This is a shame. Shame.
I will say the Prince of Persia is one of those that I also enjoyed. I don't know. I didn't really play the game, so I don't know if it was like the game at all. Movie, not bad.
I can't say that I enjoyed the film. So
that's fine.
Maybe that'll be one we also review, as we want to stick to video game themes to start, because there are a lot. And then we'll venture outwards. Lana is ashamed of both of you. Now you're in trouble. She has passed judgment. Locke says Prince of Persia was okay, kind of guilty pleasure movie because it's not great, but it's watchable. Kira says, you know what I enjoyed until I played the games, I was bored. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. When I played the games, then rewatched the movie, I was like, oh no. Assassin's Creed, House of the Dead. Assassin's Creed film was not great. We should do a review on that. The House of the Dead, it was... Lana says white guy is a Persian. Yeah, that's probably a no-go. Let's stop whitewashing films. So let's go through the plot of the film, the story here, and then we'll talk about our final thoughts on everything. So Mortal Kombat is a fighting tournament between the representatives of the realms of Earth and Outworld conceived by the Elder Gods amid looming invasion of Earth by Outworld. If the realm of Outworld wins Mortal Kombat 10 consecutive times, its emperor will be able to invade and conquer the Earth realm. Don't we have 11 Mortal Kombat games now? So did they not win 10 times then, or do they actually go into the Outworld in one of the games? I have not kept up with this series. I think the last one I played was 10 because it was free.
I think the gist of when the game started is they had won 9, so that's why you control the Earth people and you win, so they don't get to come in.
Okay. Batman plays. I know he's up to speed. He says he's got 11. So the Shaolin monk Liu Kang and his comrades, movie star Johnny Cage, military officer Sonya Blade are chosen by Raiden, the god of thunder and defender of Earthrealm, to overcome their powerful adversaries in order to prevent Outworld from winning their 10th straight Mortal Kombat tournament. Each of the three has his or her own reason for competing. Liu seeks revenge against the tournament host Shang Tsung for killing his brother Chan. Sonya seeks revenge on an Australian crime lord Kano for murdering a fellow officer. And Cage seeks to prove that his martial arts skills are real. Just like this podcast, we keep it real. 9 was a straight up reboot. You know, I don't think I played 9. So I don't know. At Shang Tsung's island, Liu is attracted to Princess Kitana. I mean, who's not? The Emperor's adopted daughter. Aware that Kitana is a dangerous adversary because she is the rightful heir to the Outworld and that she will attempt to ally herself with the Earth Warriors. Tsung orders the creature reptile to spy on her Liu defeats his first opponent, and Sonya gets her revenge on Kano by snapping his neck. Cage encounters and barely beats Scorpion. Liu engages in a brief duel with Kitana, who secretly offers some cryptic advice for his next battle. Liu's opponent is Sub-Zero, whose defense seems untouched because of his freezing abilities until Liu recalls Kitana's advice and uses it to kill Sub-Zero. Yay? Kira says, don't get me started on Tomb Raider. They picked an actress with a goddamn awful British accent. Alicia Vikander did okay, but they really should have gone with a British actress. Yeah. So what now? I missed something. Why is Lana judging me?
When is Lana not judging you?
Oh, Netcutter says, Travis saying Raiden touches on OC you never knew you had. I'm sorry. I pick random words and say them weird. Apparently, that's a thing.
You do you, man. You do you.
Apparently, this is Judgment Cast. Prince Goro enters the tournament and mercilessly crushes every opponent he faces. One of Cage's peers, Art Lane, is defeated by Goro as well, and his soul taken by Shang Tsung. Sonya worries that they may not win against Goro, but Raiden disagrees. He reveals their own fears and egos are preventing them from winning the tournament. I mean, in all honesty, like, what are they actually overcoming? Do they play on that a lot? Like, I know they keep telling Liu Kang he's not ready, but he's like, no, dude, I'm ready. But everyone else is like, I don't think he's ready. But then when Liu Kang explains the rules of the tournament to Raiden, Raiden's like, I think he's ready. Like, no, he was just on the island. He probably read a sign somewhere. Now he gets the rules. Kira says 0 character development. Yeah.
I have nothing more to teach you, Liu Kang.
No.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, I don't know. Despite Sonya's warning, Cage comes to Tsung to request a fight with Goro. The sorcerer accepts on the condition that he be allowed to challenge any opponent of his choosing, anytime and anywhere he chooses. Raiden tries to intervene, but the conditions are agreed upon before he can do so. After Shang Tsung leaves, Raiden confronts Cage for what he has done in challenging Goro, but is impressed when Cage shows his awareness of the gravity of the tournament. Like, you're here to fight each other.
I think they were talking where he looks at Raiden and goes, we're mortal, we actually fight. Because I think most people are like, Raiden, why don't you help us? Is the gist.
So that's a great question. Why is he not fighting again? Did we talk about that?
In the first one, he's supposed to just be the god. Like, it's the idea, I guess.
And then the second one I remember, he like cuts the sleeves off his shirt and cuts his hair. He's like, I'm here to join you guys to fight. He's not allowed
to do it. He had to make himself mortal.
Yeah.
In the second one.
By spiking his hair.
And a completely different actor.
Kira says, I will teach you the ways. A 3-minute training montage. You're ready. No, he's not. End of MK11 main story was a nice twist. I haven't played it. I really should, though. I'm just not great at fighting games. I like them. I'm just not great at them. Let's see. Cage faces Goro, uses Guile element as surprise to defeat the defending champion. Now desperate, Tsung takes Sonya hostage and takes her to Outworld, intending to fight her as his opponent, knowing that his powers are ineffective there and that Sonya cannot defeat Tsung by herself. Raiden sends Liu and Cage into Outworld in order to rescue Sonya and challenging Tsung. In Outworld, Liu is attacked by Reptile under orders from Shang Tsung to prevent him and Cage from rescuing Sonya, but eventually gains the upper hand and defeats him. Afterward, Kitana meets up with Cage and Liu. She reveals to the pair the origins of both herself and Outworld. Kitana lies with them and helps them to infiltrate Tsung's castle while advising Liu Kang about 3 challenges in the castle: to face his enemy, himself, and his worst fear.
2 of those which happen in like 5 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, the ending fight sequence is really not great either.
Like, I think the idea was good, but it was like, face your enemy, does a fight scene. Face yourself, lasts 30 seconds.
Turn into an animal.
Yeah, animality. Like, I feel like that was...
It had to be snuck in there just in case there wasn't a second movie.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta sneak this in. We gotta sneak it in.
And Locke makes a great point there. The front half of the movie is significantly better than the second half. It's like they plotted things out, pun intended. And then they're like, we got to cut this to 90 minutes. Nobody's going to watch a 2.5-hour Mortal Kombat. We got to make this PG-13 because we want more butts and seats. So, yeah.
And they spent all their money on that one Sub-Zero scene and all the lightning for Raiden. So that's why those are the best that we've brought up so far. And so they couldn't do anything in the second half of the movie. They exhausted their funds.
Yeah,
and somehow Liu Kang's immortal, but he does a fireball at the end of the movie.
Yeah. He throws that out. All of a sudden he has powers. Maybe it's because of where they're at. I don't know. Nakata says, you all are complaining y'all haven't seen Sonic yet, but are doing a podcast and movie based on games, recent games that are great we haven't played. I mean, I guess I get your point. We can't see everything and play everything, okay? It's impossible. Stop judging.
So at the beginning of that last little statement you made, he said that Johnny Cage caught Goro by surprise. He peen-hammered him. He didn't catch him by surprise. He just straight up peen-hammered him.
Is this where we get IROB from?
I mean, it could be.
It is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But...
Wait a second. How much are your glasses?
Not $500. They're not
$500. Are you IROB Cage?
I am not. No.
Yeah. Well, there goes that idea. Never mind then, guys. Never mind. This could have been a very...
But that is where we get the damn that hurt and the this is where you fall down part 2 in that movie.
They're
bringing the one-liners back around.
Kira says they're 505. 505. This is true. Inside the castle tower, Shang Tsung challenges Sonya to fight him under the false claim that her refusal will result in Earthrealm forfeiting the tournament. All seems lost for Earthrealm until Kitana, Liu, and Cage appear. As Sonya is secretly freed, Kitana berates Tsung for his treachery by the Emperor, claiming that his arrogance and greed will cost him the tournament if he doesn't honor his deal. Tsung challenges Cage but is counter-challenged by Liu. During the lengthy battle, Liu faces not only Tsung but the souls that Tsung had forcibly taken in past tournaments. In a last-ditch attempt to take advantage, Tsung morphs into Chan. Am I saying that right? Chan or Khan? Somebody correct me.
It's his brother, Chen, I think.
Is it pronounced Chen?
I think.
How is it spelled? C-H-A-N.
Chan.
That's what. Okay. I don't want to be butchering pronunciations because I have a tendency of doing that, and then everyone points and laughs. So, seeing through the charade, Liu renews his determination and ultimately fires an energy bolt at the sorcerer, knocking him down and impaling him on a bed of spikes. Like I said, I know why they did it. It is the one level in Mortal Kombat where if you uppercut them at the end of the battle, they fall down into the spikes. It is a nod to that. It's also a way for them to get their logo, the Mortal Kombat logo, on something circular. So it's all for visual.
Yeah.
It was all about selling stuff back then. Sega.
Speaking of that, that's a fun backstory too. Sega and Super, the game was ported to on consoles. Do you guys remember having to enter a blood code? Well, actually, iRob, you were a Sega guy. You didn't have the Super. Wicked, what did you have?
Not.
I had both. Sega and Super.
You had to enter the code, but everybody had it, so it was the first thing you did when you got the game. So.
Locke says Abacab. That's what I entered for the MEEP tests. You know, when you had to fill in all those dots. And they said, when you're done, you can go do something else. Done. Do I need this to pass?
I drew stars around the edges, and then I got my paper back, and they said, you can't draw anywhere but the circles, man.
Ah. Wicked, Cody asks, is that face paint or a mask?
Oh, it's definitely face paint.
Creep up on the camera so they can see. There you go. Look at that. That's so cool. When you're done, can you work with Dr. Honeydew? What does that mean? Why is Lana facepalming? No, I'm confused.
I'm like, am I gonna get in trouble for not seeing another movie?
Yeah, I mean, you may. I feel we should make a list and see what movies you have and haven't seen, so we can all judge each other and then point and yell at each other to go see movies, and then we'll say, yeah, we'll go see them, and then we don't actually go watch them, because that's just a continued narration with friends. That used to be the thing when we did. If you haven't listened to the podcast on All the Good Culture, speaking of, if you guys like 90s stuff, since we're speaking on the year that was 1995 here, which Mortal Kombat released in, we do have a podcast available for the year 1995. Go back and check that out, where we highlight all the good things culture from that year, including comics, wrestling, movies, music, and we do judge each other in that one too on a list of top grossing films and what we have and haven't seen. So you should go check that out. That's available on podcast platforms now. Back to the show. Hey, you gotta throw that out there. Sung's death releases all the captive souls, including Chan's, before ascending to afterlife. Chan tells Liu that he will remain with him in spirit until they are once again reunited. Reunited, and it feels... No. The Earth Warriors return to Earthrealm, where a victory celebration is taking place at Liu's Shaolin Temple. But the jubilation abruptly stops when the giant figure, the Outworld Emperor, suddenly appears in the sky and declares he has come for everyone's souls. Raiden replies, I don't think so. And the warriors take up fighting stances. Mortal Kombat! Okay, and that's the movie.
Sorry.
And yeah, I mean, that. What do the kids say now? It slaps? Is that still like what everyone says about music?
Was that ever a thing? Am I that far behind? I don't even know that one.
I don't know. Cody's here with us. He's a generation behind us. Cody. And then MX too. If you're still here, slaps, is that how you describe something that is good? You got to smoke more to sound like Raiden. I do. You know, I'm a former smoker. I haven't had one since
I don't think so.
End of 2006, 2007, so.
I think that was part of why he was so good for the Raiden role, is because that Christopher Lambert, his voice does that. So it like automatically gives him that air of power, I guess.
It does. Cody's 27. He says, yes, slaps is good. So I used it properly. You should be proud. I'm still hip. Slaps enjoys me. I prefer it being a banger.
Don't overuse it. I'll get in trouble.
Yeah, and then I won't be cool.
That was never cool, so I'm okay with that.
Cody says, Will is 20. Don't put me in that category.
I was 20 once.
Yeah, me too. Oh, to be young again.
That was 5 years after watching this movie.
Oh my God. Stop it. Locke's been out here telling kids to get off his lawn since the movie came out. That's a fact.
So a handful of people on a leaky boat are going to save the world.
Basically, I mean, that right there should be the actual synopsis. You take that, put that in the trailer, that's how you put butts in seats. But let's be honest.
Especially with Bridget Wilson saying it, you know.
Yeah, that's... And Veronica Vaughn right in the picture every time.
And Locke is right. This movie is incredibly quotable. And I feel it is one of the most underrated and underappreciated video game adaptations. Sure, some of the special effects are dated. Sure, the dialogue is quotable, but yet atrocious. But the portrayals of the characters and the likeness is not terrible. The combat implied here is not terrible. It's even great at times. The visual appeal, the locations, so where they filmed, looks good. There's only a handful of 95. This is really bad, effects. That's what we're seeing right now behind us. I think, I enjoyed it. I like this movie. I don't think it's a bad video game movie. I don't think it's a bad movie either. I think it's a average film on a film critic scale. But I think it is a fun movie. And if you're going into this film knowing what Mortal Kombat the game is and was, and not expecting anything other than a soundtrack that slaps, and just a fun, action-packed thrill ride and a PG-13 level, you're going to enjoy this film.
How many times can you use slaps before it's not cool anymore?
I'm at my limit.
Okay.
And if you didn't like any of the graphics or anything from this older 1995 one, in the next 2 weeks, you get an update.
It's true.
And Johnny Cage is already dead, so
it's true.
We're not seeing that either. If that happens. So.
J-Ram says, as a kid, MK was great. Now it's all right. Does have its nostalgia, but in my opinion, doesn't hold up as well as Ninja Turtles or some other childhood movies. I agree. Ninja Turtles, fantastic. The first two, anyways. Fantastic films. Locke agrees the movie is sorely underrated and under-remembered. Just a line for every that we can never forget. The first time I used "Stop being cool." Thanks. Let's speak on really, what ultimately inspired us to pick this one first, and that is the upcoming Mortal Kombat film. Have any of you seen the trailer?
Yeah.
The first one, I haven't seen I know there's some newer ones now.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's set to release within the next week or so. If you're listening to this live, if you're listening to this back, it's probably already out. And it's going to be in theaters as well as HBO Max, same day. That is my way of how I'll be watching it when it comes out. Do you guys plan on seeing it, or are you just kind of waiting for it to be on home video or picking up HBO Max to watch it?
Oh, it's coming out. I'm watching it that day, for sure.
That might be a me time. Go to the theater and sit with like 4 other people because nobody's there. I go see it just for the sake of I want to see it, and we don't have HBO Plus, so
you should get it. HBO is great service, especially this year with their same day releases. Mario movie was something. Siskira, always been more of a fan of Tekken.
Travis likes HBO Max because of the new Godzilla movie. That's why Travis likes it.
Yes. Oh, man. Yes. Godzilla Kong. Yes. I would love to do a review on that, but that's maybe for a different show, different day. We're going to try to keep it to video game, even though there were Godzilla video games. So,
and King Kong video games. So
it's true. However, we could do Rampage, which starred Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Actually, wasn't a bad movie.
Was not a bad movie at all.
You mean you have to know what you're going into, but I enjoyed it.
Yes.
Any video game movie, you really have to be like, all right, they're trying to follow a video game. Pretty much, you have to know what you're walking into.
But I will preface for any other time, if you have me back, which I would love to be back, I am notoriously a very nice critic. I like a lot of things that other people find horrible.
Which is one of the reasons that we got along when we, had hangout sessions, because ultimately we'd hang out late or you just crash at my place, almost every weekend, pretty much actually every weekend and sometimes throughout the week too. We would throw on movies because if you didn't know about me, I am a movie collector. I always had new movies or I was always renting something. And when you find a buddy that is willing to watch whatever the fuck you put in, you are going to make best friends with that buddy. So that's I'm like, okay, we're going to watch this. He's cool with it. Awesome. Like it's not.
There was that time where any movie you found, if it was a horror movie, you bought it and had to watch it.
Yeah, I was grabbing everything horror for a short period of time.
And some of those were not great.
No, they weren't. Some were like, oh, this is a neat find, and some were not good. No.
And then even those you can make it fun by just making fun of them at that point. But
Nat could have asked when the Katamari video game is coming. The video game movie. Is that a thing?
That would be a pretty intense movie.
Yeah. They probably have Nicolas Cage in it.
So from this era of 95 and younger, my mom used to work at this place called Levy Entertainment, and it was a promotional CD and video place. So that's how I got to see Mortal Kombat, was on VHS the first time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I used to watch all the Friday the 13th, all the different like underground movies like Arcade. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that.
Yeah.
Just a lot of different movies as a young kid, just being promotional, and that was probably the best part of my mom working there, just being able to see all these movies like this.
Yeah, I would have loved that, to have access to a ton of things maybe I would have been exposed to.
It's like the cable guy, just sit up and watch movies all the time.
J. Rem says best horror movies are the ones at the dollar store with 20 to 30 movies on it. I scooped a bunch of those up too throughout my time collecting, bad things. Cody says, I'm surprised GTA hasn't been made into a movie. I mean, it's inspired from so many films. It is a collection of movies itself. So what character are you hoping to see in the new film? Kira would like to see Devera and maybe an appearance from Kodokan. In all honesty, I don't know who I would want to see that I haven't seen yet. Was Smoke featured in Annihilation? I don't remember.
I'd like a better version of Nightwolf.
Yeah.
It was really good the way they portrayed him, but I'd like a better fighting version.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the guiding force.
What about Noob Saibot? You got hidden characters. Stryker. Didn't they have Stryker in Annihilation? He said that's a joke.
I don't know, there was so many hey, this is this guy's name, and he was there in that one scene in that movie. It was just, how many can we fit in?
Sindel is
Cabal. Yeah.
We're doing it all.
Yeah, in all honesty, I don't know what to expect from the new movie. The trailers make it look fantastic. It's got an R rating, so we know it's going to be graphic. Will it deliver plot-wise? That's the biggest question. Special effects look good. The character designs, we know from what they've said, no Johnny Cage, so it's going to be missing some characters. The idea is more than likely to do more of these. And Batman confirmed Smoke was in Annihilation. That's what I thought.
That blood knife from Sub-Zero in the trailer was, just seeing that part pretty much put my jaw to the floor.
Yeah.
Pulled that blood out and just knifed him with it. His own blood. That was awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. Visually, it looks great. I'm excited. When I heard they were redoing it, I was like, oh, okay. And then the day the trailer dropped, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Let's go. Let's do this. Kira can't remember if Ermac or Ermac, however you want to pronounce that, was in it. I don't recall. But I'm very much...
It's been a long time since I watched Annihilation, so I'm not...
It's funny, too, because I just watched Annihilation again as well a couple weeks back, but, It's one of those movies where I'm also like playing on my phone, that I wasn't totally invested to it, just because I'm like, I just want some nonsense on, and really that's what Annihilation was. It was just kind of some nonsense. Like it's
I think it was the first one did well, so let's try another one.
Oh, for sure.
And then since they didn't make a third one, you know how it went. That is what happened.
And that's exactly what happened. There was an idea for a trilogy of films. The second one didn't do well, and they stopped doing them. So they had the anime around that time, or something else came, or a series. I can't remember what it was. Somebody spoke on it earlier on in the show. It was like Legends or something.
Scorpion's Revenge was a good animated film they did for.
I don't remember it. I know I've seen it. I just don't remember it.
But that was more graphic and mature audiences. And
right.
Intense.
Kira says, think Annihilation is a good background movie when you're doing something and just glance over. Yeah, and that's basically what it was on for. I was like, I can't really decide what I want to watch. I just kind of want to watch something to unwind from something I just watched. I think I was watching, I can't remember. I think that was the night Andrew and I watched Tenet. And so I just wanted something else. Which, if you haven't seen that movie yet, check out Tenet. The live series Legacy made Kano look like Terminator. Speaking of movies you need to watch, yes, watch Tenet. But, I mean, really, I don't have any more thoughts on the 95 Mortal Kombat film. I feel like we touched on all the things I wanted to. Do you guys want to share, your stories? Wicked kind of was mentioning, how he watched it, or, anything you want to add?
That's pretty much it on that front. That's how I got to watch it, was promotional video randomly put in my hands. But I used to play the video game when I was before that, so I was always playing that on the Sega, and then got the movie and thought it was pretty amazing for what it was in '95. I mean, I thought we had a lot of good movies come out at that time. That must have been the year, because that's like the year of Fifth Element, those kind of movies and things like that.
Wait. Fifth Element came out back then? There's no way.
Yeah, and Jurassic Park and all those are in those years right there. So it was,
Fifth Element can't be that old, too. Don't tell me these things. No. Yeah. There you go. Fifth Element was 97, but I mean, even that, holy crap.
Dude, we're old, man. It just happens.
If you haven't seen Fifth Element, do yourself a favor. Watch Fifth Element. That's
a must-watch. Anybody, if you haven't seen it, you have to.
Yeah.
iRob's going to mention here, his favorite sequence is the opera sequence. Is that still?
I downloaded just that audio and put it on mixed CDs for years.
Yeah, and not even to mention the fight scene during the opera was
yes,
entwined with each other. It was so
how they edited that was really well done.
Oh,
really well. And I will admit that movie, I will forever be in love with Milla Jovovich. It doesn't. It'll never end.
I mean, facts.
Is that why we like Resident Evil so much? Because she did
partially. Yes, partially. Plus, I like, in all honesty,
definitely part of it.
Yes, definitely part of it. But I love zombies. Love zombies.
True.
And Michelle Rodriguez in the first one, amazing.
Zombies with rocket launchers, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
And for me, it's because I really enjoyed the early Resident Evil games. I'll admit I haven't played any of the newer ones, but just because of that, and then they made a Resident Evil movie, I was into it. And then on top of that, Milla was in it, and it was done. I'll love that forever.
Yeah.
And then having Marilyn Manson do the soundtrack for the first one.
Yes, that soundtrack was so killer.
Just the industrial metal guitar, just randomly throughout the movie. It made it where it was different, so I loved it.
Spoiler alert, we will at one point be getting to the Resident Evil films. We may do a super episode where we do all of them. We may do them individually. Who knows? But what I do know is we will discuss the Resident Evil franchise. Because personally, I love the games and movies. And this is a shameless self-plug coming out in just a couple weeks. The next Resident Evil game, Village. Tune in on the DNA Twitch here when that comes out, because I will be doing a Let's Play of that entire game. Not in one sitting, of course, because who knows how long it is, but I will be doing Let's Plays playing Village. So
I want to do that for a whole weekend, just no sleep, just play the game.
I would love to do that, but I think my wife would murder me.
She hasn't yet. I mean,
yeah, but like I'm pushing limits. I feel with a lot of things. Do I want to see the new game of RE? What do you mean? I'm confused with the question. The Batista movie with zombies looks good. Yeah, anything zombies, like I'm sold. That's a weird thing that I'm just
that trailer.
On.
The new trailer was really awesome for that.
Extinction. Lana confirms she would kill me. So there you go. But a lot of new stuff coming. On Tuesdays is going to be the night to check out new podcasts from DNA and our various shows. If you like movies and video games, every 3 weeks, the rDNA podcast, R stands for real, REEL, because we keep it real.
Real.
That's going to go over. That's going to be a thing you guys are going to buy t-shirts on. So, but every 3 weeks, we're going to be doing these in rotation. Next week, we're going to be talking about music. We're going to talk about the new Offspring album. I'm going to have my other friend Justin on for that one. And these, again, will be rotating in 3-week cycles. So the week after the music one, the dosage will return to be determined on the topic. And then after that, us three right here, iRob and Wicked, will be back for more R stands for real DNA podcast. So if you like movies, this is the one you want to tune into. If you like music, check those out. And for your convenience, all these are exported on podcast platforms. You can follow us on Google. You can follow us on Apple. You can follow us on Spotify. If you like wrestling, the podcast that Cody and Trevor is hosting is exported there as well. So you're getting not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 podcasts. That's amazing. And it's our favorite F word.
Free?
Free!
Free!
It's true.
Not fornicate.
No, that's more than 4, I think.
Or for life for the wolf pack.
So make sure you tune in to all of that every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. on twitch.tv/Dose of Nerd Acumen. I want to thank iRob for coming out. It's been great seeing you. And one day soon we will see you in person again. And Wicked from Hawaii, thank you as always. Wolfpack for life. Tune in tomorrow night.
Is that why it's still sunny there? Because,
It is. See? It's nice. Spoiled. Tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another episode of NAW Action by your host, DKA. The ladies will be tearing the house down. Thursday night, tune in for another episode of NAW. Standard programming. Wolfpack for life. Friday, tune in, have your notifications on, because I may be jumping in and playing Pac-Man 99. And then Saturday, tune in for Lock, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another Lockbox game to be determined. But look out on our social medias to find out what he is doing. But again, thank you all, and thank you, iRob and Wicked. It's been a pleasure. We will see you guys on the next one.
rDNA.
See, chant it. R stands for real.
And bye, everybody. I want to apologize for my grill, my face, but it's the only one I got.
Peace.